We're going through HTML5 canvas element, or canvas tag, whatever you want to call it. There's quite a few bits to get through, so I'll try and be as quick as possible, but I'll give the code at the end. I'll put it in the description like the others, so you can just get it and go through it. It's got comments and everything, but I'll show you each one and how it works at the minute. Right, so first one. Right, the canvas tag allows you to draw graphics and animate them in a web page. Requires a few attributes, and they are the ID, a width and a height. So this is the basic one here. But also there's a fallback that you can do. So if somebody's browser, say you're using the canvas for something, you can put something in between the opening and closing tags of the canvas, and this could be an image or it could be whatever you want, and only browsers that do not support the canvas will see it. So I'm just going to copy this and put it in the page below. Oh, it's already there, but I'll put the one with the fallback. Right, so what will happen is if someone goes on this saying IE, I think it's less than 9, so in Internet Explorer 8, say, I believe it's 8, the person will just see you need to upgrade your browser, but you could put anything there. You could put an image or whatever. So I'm not going to show you that, because if I just refresh the page, well, let me upload that and I'll show you. You won't see anything because I haven't even put a border on it or anything at the minute. But yeah, so let's refresh the page. Yes, there's nothing there. Right, so what we need to do, we need to do some stuff with it in JavaScript. So first, I'll show you how to draw a rectangle. There are a couple of different ways of drawing rectangles with the canvas. So I've commented this here, and each rectangle requires 4 parameters, and they are the X position, Y position, the width and the height. So let's just copy this script tag and put it in the head. Let's upload that. Right, so what this is doing is we're putting the canvas element into the variable X, and that's just so it's easier to, so I can just put x.getContext and stuff like that. So what this is doing is we're saying we want the context to be 2D. You can do 3D stuff, but I'm just going to do 2D for this because it's simpler. Right, so when I show you the web page in a minute, what you're going to see is you're going to see 2 rectangles slightly overlapping each other, and then one will have just a stroke and one will have a colour fill. And in the one with the fill, you're going to see a small square that has been removed from that. So what I mean is, so this one here will draw a canvas, not a canvas, this one here will draw a rectangle with just an outline, like a border really. So a stroke, think of a stroke as like the border, and this one here is going to draw another another rectangle, but this one is going to have a colour, a fill. So I'm just using the defaults at the minute, so that's going to be a black stroke and this will be a black fill. So these are the 4 parameters. You've got your X position, your Y, width and height. Then this bottom one, clear rect, and what that does is it clears a specified amount of pixels within a given rectangle. So let's have a look. Oh yeah, and also you have this. It's an event, so you put an event listener on the window. So I've got it on page load, do the function draw rect, and what that is doing is it's calling this function here. So let's have a look. So here's our first rectangle with just the stroke. Here's the second one with the fill, and this little area here is this bit, the clear rect. So that's that. Right, so what's the next one? So this one is changing the colour of a rectangle. So here it's the same function. What I'll do is I'll put it in the page so you can see the colour. Right, so here it's the same. It's all the same, but this time we're doing the fill style of blue and the stroke style of red. So then what you're going to see is when I load this, you'll see that now the rectangle on the left will have a blue stroke, it will have a red stroke, and the fill will be blue on the other one. So let's reload that. So now you see it has a red stroke and that has a blue fill. And I know this is like really basic, but it's just to give you an idea of how to manipulate these rectangles. And then you guys can come up with some way of doing this for your site if you needed to. And if not, it just gives you an idea of how it all works. So the next one, what we're going to do, copy that. This one is using a gradient for the colour. So what it's going to be very similar as before, but I'm going to use 3 colours for the gradient. So let's just overwrite this. And I'll upload that. So it's the same as before, but this time we've got this variable g, and what it is we're creating a linear gradient. So the 4 parameters are the x, y, end x, and end y. So what we're doing is we're adding these colour stops now. So we've put our linear gradient in this variable g. So now, using that, we're adding 3 colour stops. And this here is the percentage across the gradient where we want to change these colours. So then, afterwards, we apply the gradient fill to our canvas element, and then we fill the canvas element with the with that, you know what I mean. We put that gradient inside our element, and it's the same event listener as before. On load, call this function. So let's have a look. So as you can see, this time we've done square, and yeah, there's the 3 colours at the specified percentages that we put here. So again, it's just something to get you used to using it, and you could adapt this to however you want. It's just to give you an idea of how to do these certain things. So the next one is drawing a custom shape. So I'll just put this here. Right, so doing the same thing. This is where it starts drawing the shape though. So we've got our canvas element, and we do begin path, which is it's just telling the JavaScript or the page to we are gonna begin drawing something. So begin path. So we've moved to these 2 parameters are x and y. So we're moving 50 pixels across and 50 pixels down. Then we use line to draw a line 70 pixels across, 250 pixels down. Then we create another line which is 300 across and 200 down. Then we close the path. So we begin the path, we add all our lines, and then we close the path. Then we add this stroke to our canvas. So let me upload. I can't remember if I just uploaded that. Yeah, I already did. So as you can see, we've drew a wonky triangle, but again, it's just to give you an idea of how it all works. So what's this next one? Text and shadows. So this is similar to the CSS3 text shadow that I did in, I think it was the video before this. So what we'll do, let's go over this. Let's just paste this in. And let's upload that. Right. So again, same sort of thing to begin with, but this time we create the shadow before the text is declared. And what we do is we offset the x of the shadow to 4. Then we offset the y. So this is how far to the right and how far down do we want the shadow. And then we set the blur. So the blur is the actual shadow, really, if you think of it like that. So we've set that to 5. Then we set the colour of the shadow, and we're using this RGBA. So as in the previous video, this is your standard RGB. Colour stops here from 0 to 255, and then this is the alpha. So we're saying we want it to be 50% transparent. Then we're going to set the font and size of the font and the weight. So we're having bold, 27 pixels, and we're using Arial. You can also align your text. So I'm text aligning to the left, and then we fill our canvas element with the text we've specified above. And what you do in the first parameter is you put your actual text, then you set the X position and the Y position. And again, oh, I've missed the closing tag here, sorry. And then what we do is we add the event listener to the window on load, call this draw rect function. So now you should see some text with a shadow. Let's have a look what's going on here then. Well, this is always handy actually when something goes a bit wrong, because then we have to debug it slightly. Let's have a look then. So getting the element, setting the context. Wait there, did I upload it? There you go. So the problem there was, for anyone who's wondering, is if you remember, the closing script tag was missing a moment ago, and I had uploaded it with that closing script tag missing, so that's all that was wrong. So then, yeah, you can see we've got our text, and there's our shadow, and it's offset as we've put it, 50% alpha, and it's 27 pixels in bold and Arial. So what's next? Transformations. Sorry if you can hear that noise. I'm swapping over a hard drive, and it's making a bit of noise. It's having a bit of a panic attack. Right, so transformations are when you move around elements on your canvas. So this code, you'll write some text up. Right, we're going to write a bit of text, and then we're going to move it, rotate it, and then scale it. So let me copy that and make sure I get the closing tag this time. And we'll just overwrite this. Let's upload that first. Right, so let's have a look. So it's the same beginning part, and what we're doing is we set our text style. So we set the font, we align the text, and I've put start this time. But if you just do a quick Google on the different text aligns you can do to the canvas, you'll see there's quite a few of them that you can do. Nowadays you don't just have the standard left, centre and right, there's all sorts. So fill the text as before, the text you want, the X, the Y position. So what we're going to do first is we're going to translate this text, and we're going to move it 100 pixels to the right and 150 pixels down. Then we're going to change the text. So what we're going to do is we're going to write after translate. Then we're going to rotate, and this is a bit weird because instead of it taking degrees, which would be simple, it takes radians, and there's approximately 57 degrees per radian. It's a bit weird and a bit odd at first to get your head around, but that's just how it works. So we do dot rotate, and then we're giving it 1, so that's going to be rotate it 57 degrees. Then we're going to change the text, so it's going to say after rotate. Then we're going to scale the text, and this takes an X and a Y, so we're going to scale it 1.5 times bigger, wider, sorry, and twice as high. And then finally we're going to write after scale. So that might seem a little bit weird how I've explained it, but if we just have a look, you'll be able to see. So what you do is you pass the transformation you want to do, and then you change the text, and then you can see. So we started it here, then we moved it, then we I should have did the scale at a different angle, but we moved it, then we rotated it, which is this one here, and then after we rotated it, we scaled it. So as you can see, the text is bigger and wider. So then the next one is putting images into your canvas. And what it does is it redraws the image on the canvas. So you must first create the image object and then load an image into the object and then finally draw the image on the canvas. I mean, it all seems a bit weird and a bit long-winded, but these are the absolute basics of it. Trying to not go too much into it because it can be a bit daunting at first. Right, so as before in all the other ones, it's the same thing, putting it into the variable x, then canvas equals x, get context. It's going to be 2D. So what we do is we make this variable and we make that a new image. Then this new image that we've made, we give it a source and we pass it this path. Then what we do is we add an event listener onto the pic and we say once that's finished loading, we do this self-calling function here. And what it's going to do is once that pic has finished loading into this variable, we're going to draw that image into our pic variable. So yeah, well that's it really. And then again we're doing add event listener on the window load, call this function. So this should be, yeah, so it's just added that image onto the canvas element. And now we've got one more, so animation on the canvas. So this is a simple example of animating a shape. And what we're going to do is as we move the mouse, the shape's going to move. Canvas animations have 3 states. 1, draw on the canvas, then clear the canvas, and then draw it again in the new location. And this is what gives the illusion of animation. So let's copy that and let's have a look. So what we're going to do is as before, but this time we're adding an event listener on the window for when the mouse moves, and then when the mouse moves we're going to call this function, and this function is here, move mouse func. So what we've got is we've given it this here, and what that's going to do is that captures the x and y of where the mouse is. So first we clear the canvas, there's 4 parameters, x, y, end x, end y, and what we do is we clear it every time we call this function, because if we didn't clear it they would all pile up on top of each other. So what I'll do is I'll do it as it's written now, and then I'll come back and I won't clear it, and you'll see it's almost like a paint application then. So we get the x position, get the y, and then we fill our shape with this. And what I'm doing here is, the reason why this is -50 is so our mouse is in the middle of the shape. If we did this at 0, then it would be in the top left of the shape. So let's do that. Well, let's have a look. So as soon as we go over, this is just moving the mouse around the canvas. I should have really put a border on the canvas, but you know, doesn't really matter for this sort of example. So what I'll do now is I'll comment out this clearing of it, and then what you should see is it should almost paint onto that canvas. Let's refresh. So this time, yeah, so you see this time it's not restarting, it's just literally like it's colouring it in. And I guess that could be useful if you wanted to make some sort of paint application or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, so that's it. So I think there's a fair few bits there to help you get your head round everything. And what I'll do is I'll put this in the description